Let's completely bypass the polite, sanitized lies you've been fed about dating and get straight to the biological truth. I am a clinical psychologist, but before that, I am a woman. And I am exhausted by the endless stream of advice telling men to be softer, more accommodating, and completely devoid of edge. Society tells you to be her best friend first, to tiptoe around her, to treat her like fragile glass. But what happens when you do that? Her nervous system goes completely flat. She feels perfectly safe, perfectly comfortable, and completely, utterly dry. Women do not fall in love in a state of total comfort. We fall in love in the space between anxiety and relief. We fall in love with tension. We fall in love with the men who possess the capability to overwhelm us, but choose to anchor us instead. When you meet a woman, there is a primal dialogue happening beneath the words, and if you don't know how to speak it, you are instantly categorized as invisible. Today, I am taking off the professional filter. I am going to give you the raw, unfiltered psychology of exactly what a woman's body and mind are begging you to do when you first meet her. I'm going to give you the 10 psychological and physical triggers that completely rewire her to become obsessed with you. Listen to me very closely because I am only going to say this once, and this will change the way you interact with women forever. Number 1 is the piercing of the social mask. When you walk up to a woman, the very first thing she is evaluating is not your jawline or your clothes, it is the weight of your presence. Most men approach with apologetic eyes. They look at her chest, they look at the floor, they look around the room. It screams of a prey animal. What she actually wants, what secretly makes her breath catch in her throat, is a man who looks directly into her eyes and does not flinch. We want you to look at us like you are dissecting our ego. When you hold eye contact just a fraction of a second past the point of social comfort, it triggers a mild stress response in her brain. Her heart rate elevates, her pupils dilate. In that microscopic moment of tension, you are forcing her to wonder, who is he and why isn't he intimidated by me? Do not break the gaze. Make her submit to the silence before you even speak your first word. Number 2 is weaponizing the silence. When you finally start talking to her, the biggest mistake you can make is rushing to fill every gap in the conversation. Men do this because they are terrified of awkwardness, but silence is only awkward if you are uncomfortable in it. When a woman finishes speaking, do not immediately jump in with your response. Hold her gaze, let a slow, knowing smirk touch your lips, and just let her sit in the silence for 2 full seconds. This does something incredibly powerful to the female brain. It creates an open loop of cognitive dissonance. She starts wondering, did I say something wrong? Is he judging me? Does he like me? You are forcing her to qualify herself to you in the silence. You are making her chase your validation without saying a single word. A man who is comfortable in heavy, unbroken silence is a man who signals absolute dominance over his environment. Number 3 is stripping away the pedestal. Beautiful women live their entire lives being agreed with. Every man they meet laughs at jokes that aren't funny and nods along with opinions they don't even share, all in the desperate hope of getting into her bed. It is incredibly boring. What she desperately wants you to do is disagree with her. When she says something, look at her completely unbothered and tell her she is entirely wrong. Tease her. Call her out on her bullshit. When you do this, you shatter her reality. You prove to her that her physical beauty has absolutely zero power over your mind. The moment a woman realizes she cannot manipulate you with her looks, her respect for you skyrockets, and female arousal is entirely predicated on respect. If she cannot look up to you mentally, she will never submit to you physically. Number 4 is unapologetic sexual intent. This is where the nice guy completely fails. You think that hiding your desire makes you a gentleman. You think that if you act like a platonic friend, you can sneak past her defenses. That is a lie. Women have a highly tuned radar for hidden agendas, and when you hide your desire, you don't look like a gentleman, you look like a coward. What she actually wants is to feel the heat of your desire radiating off of you from the moment you say hello. Stop apologizing for wanting her. Let your voice drop. Let your gaze drift briefly to her lips and then back to her eyes. You do not need to say anything crass. Your energy needs to communicate that you are a man, she is a woman, and you both know exactly what this could lead to. When a woman is in the presence of a man who owns his masculine desire without shame, it permits her to unlock her own dark feminine energy. Number 5 is somatic dominance, which is how you break the physical touch barrier. You never, ever ask for permission to enter her physical space. You simply claim it with absolute authority. If you are walking through a venue or guiding her to a seat, you place a firm, heavy hand on the small of her lower back. You do not hover, you do not pat her, you place your hand there like you own the space she occupies. Do you know what that specific touch does to a woman's nervous system? It bypasses her logical brain and hits a primal switch. It tells her body that you are leading, and therefore, she can safely surrender. Women are utterly exhausted from having to be boss babes and make decisions all day. The most intoxicating thing you can do is physically take the burden of leadership off her shoulders. Number 6 is creating the micro-rejection. This is the secret of the rubber band effect. You cannot just give a woman a constant stream of attention and validation and expect her to fall in love. Human biology requires scarcity to create value. Once you have built intense rapport, once she is laughing and leaning into you, you have to pull the warmth away. You lean back. You look away to check out the room. You become slightly distracted and emotionally cool. This spike of anxiety is absolutely necessary. It makes her feel the sudden absence of your validation, and she will immediately scramble to get it back. She will touch her hair, she will lean in closer, she will try to re-engage you. You make her fall in love by making her earn your attention, not by handing it to her for free. Number 7 is becoming the unmoving anchor in her emotional storm. At some point during your interaction, she is going to test you. She will act slightly bratty, she will create unnecessary drama, or she will give you a shit test. Men panic when this happens. They try to logic their way out of it or they get defensive. Do not do that. Understand that when a woman creates chaos, she is subconsciously checking to see if your walls are made of stone or paper. She is begging you not to break. When she tests you, what she really wants you to do is look at her, completely unbothered, perhaps even slightly amused by her little tantrum, and hold your ground. If she gets fiery, she wants to know that your masculinity is heavy enough to absorb her feminine chaos without you losing your center. When you pass this test by remaining stoic and amused, her biological attraction to you will multiply tenfold. Number 8 is verbal hypnosis through vocal resonance. Women are auditory creatures. We are intensely sensitive to the tone, pitch, and cadence of a man's voice. When you are nervous, your voice goes up in pitch and you speak faster. You sound like a child trying to explain yourself. What you must do when you meet her is intentionally slow your speaking cadence down by 20%. Speak from your chest, not your throat. When you lower your pitch and speak with slow, deliberate rhythm, it has a hypnotic, calming effect on her nervous system. It forces her to lean in to hear you. It creates an intimate bubble around the two of you, making the rest of the world blur out. You are no longer just a guy talking to her, you become the narrator of her internal experience. Number 9 is the primal transition to intimacy. When you finally get her alone, everything you have built up culminates in this moment. Do not ruin it by acting like a committee seeking a democratic vote. Never ask, "Can I kiss you?" It forces her out of her body and into her head. It kills the tension. Read her subtext. If she has stayed in your personal space, if she is looking at your mouth, the decision has already been made. What she wants is for you to overwhelm her with your presence. She wants you to take her face in your hands or grip the back of her neck with undeniable firmness, tilt her head back, and take her mouth. She doesn't want a tentative, polite peck. She wants to feel the suppressed, raw desire you have been holding back all night. She wants to feel dominated in the safest way possible. She wants to know that you are strong enough to take exactly what you want from her, because that tells her biology that you are strong enough to protect her from everything else. Number 10 is the aftercare of the ego. Once you have established this intense physical and emotional connection, the way you leave her determines whether she forgets you or becomes obsessed with you. Do not linger. Do not overstay your welcome and let the energy fizzle out into boring small talk. You want to leave her at the absolute peak of her emotional spike. Give her an incredible kiss, look her deep in the eyes, tell her you have to go, and simply walk away. Leave her wanting more. Leave her body humming with adrenaline and her mind racing with questions. When you exit at the height of the tension, her brain will spend the next 48 hours replaying every single second of the interaction. You will occupy her thoughts when she wakes up, and you will be the fantasy she thinks about when she is alone in her bed touching herself. This is the unfiltered reality of female psychology. We don't want a nice guy to hold our hand and agree with us. We want a man who operates with dangerous, unapologetic dominance, who sees through our bullshit, and who possesses the exact right mixture of emotional stoicism and raw, physical conviction to make us gladly surrender our control. Master these 10 things, stop apologizing for your masculinity, and you will never have to chase a woman again.